you guys are getting an idea of, he started working on videos. He started as a marketer, and now you could sense the salesperson in him and business admin person in him.
Interview with Andrew was really good. We all know how Andrew is, guys.
Salam everyone, and thank you for joining us today. I am Rumsha Fatima, and I'm stepping in for Yawar Siddiqui, who is currently in the US for a business trip. And if I say a business trip, that includes great Gatsby themes parties, 7-figure agency intensive, and GoHighLevel summits. So they're having a lot of party there, guys, and we are having extreme FOMO over here. So to make up for this, I have come up with this plan of doing a special edition episode by people of RepStack. And I'm pretty excited to be hosting this show today, because today we are joined by a very special person who is just not my colleague from RepStack, but he has a very extensive intro of his own. So if you guys are interested in stories like where some genius people and there are some secret agencies who are behind them to abduct them because they don't suit to the regular society. So if you're interested or fascinated by such stories, today we are joined by the star of RepStack, Mr. Ahmer Zaman. Welcome, Ahmer.
Thank you so much, Rumsha. That was one heck of an introduction. I've never had one before, so thank you so much.
Thank you, Ahmer, for joining us today. But before we dive into anything else, let me ask you one thing. Today, avail this opportunity and explain and convince us that your far-fetched story of how you got rejected twice from RepStack. We need to know what happened there.
Yeah, normally when you get rejected by a company, you get demoralized or you just don't want to like go back there. But the case with RepStack was different, and it was actually not 2 times. It was, I think, around 5 or 7 times or 6 times, somewhere around that.
Don't tell me.
Yeah, and I don't know why I kept on going back and applying again and again, but for some reason I just did, and I was like, why am I getting rejected? Like, I have a decent background and I have a decent experience coming in, and RepStack was relatively new at that time. I'm not gonna say that I was like heartbroken, but I was like taken aback, but at the same time, it got me a bit motivated as well, and it actually helped me build my portfolio even more. It made me like pick up on more things which could broaden my horizon, and I would end up like showcasing that in my portfolio. And eventually I got the chance to join RepStack.
But that's crazy because you joined a year later than me. And at that time when I joined, Yawar said that we are going to have a stringent churn prediction filter over HR. And you are the first case study, I guess, getting rejected 5-6 times from RepStack. And guys, HR, this is now your duty to make sure we're not losing people like Ahmer Zaman next time, guys. So Ahmer, what I know about you that you are a mechatronics engineer. So what happened to that situationship, man? Who ditched who?
I'm actually a bit relieved that I'm not in the engineering field, and as with every Desi household and with every guy growing up, or nowadays it might be a bit different, but in our days growing up, there were 2 things: either you were meant to be a doctor or you were meant to be an engineer. There was no in between.
Absolutely.
I wanted to be a space scientist. I have been like in love with astrophysics and stars and space and everything in general. So growing up, I remember I got my first space book when I was 7 years old, and I still have that book with me to date because there's a lot of memories attached to that book. So I always wanted to be a space scientist. Unfortunately, I was very bad at chemistry, and the only 2 or 3 universities that offer the space science program, one is I think Government University in Lahore, and the other one is IST. So I wanted to opt for IST because I was not fulfilling the quota because I had my domicile from KP and not from Punjab. So I was not eligible for the university in Lahore. So I thought, okay, maybe IST would be a good option. I got great marks in physics and maths, and I got great NTS result as well. But I was just 5 marks short of chemistry. And I was one of the first 5-6 people who got admission in almost all of their disciplines. Frankly, space science was the one that had the lowest ratio of people joining, and it had the lowest number of what you can say like quota or something. So a lot of people could get into it.
Right.
But of course, a lot of people wanted to either go for aerospace engineering and whatnot. I got into all of the disciplines, and space science, obviously, because I got into the higher disciplines, I got into space science as well. But I could not make it twice because my chemistry marks were not good. And the only option that I had left after that was Air University, and I got admission there in mechatronics engineering. I'm glad that I opted for it, even though I did not like it at all. Those 8 semesters, 4 years were tormenting, to say the least. Engineering is not for everyone. But one thing it did do is it helped me prepare for what lied ahead. And that mental pressure, and we would see people from the mechanical department and the electrical department and the computer science department or the computer engineering department get free very early. They did not have as much extensive projects as we would. I as a mechatronics engineer, or my batchmates, we were almost like studying parts of every single discipline. And because of that, we had an extensive array of projects and assignments and whatnot. So right from the get-go, it was very difficult and the pressure was intense. And plus, since I had a 2-year gap, A, I was older in my batch than everyone, and B, your subjects like physics, chemistry, and maths, they're very volatile. So I went into my classroom the first day, and I felt like I was so far behind in the race because all of the guys younger than me who were like just graduating their college and coming into university, they were much sharper. They were very fresh. and they did not have a gap or something.
Right.
So that also added a lot to it as well. But yeah, I'm still glad that I got to do mechatronics engineering. We did a bunch of cool stuff, and ultimately, even though I was the student that had the lowest GPA in the entire batch, I was the first one who got a professional job in my entire batch 1 year before any one of us graduated. So it turned out well.
So guys, we are sitting with a nerd here, honestly, starting from space science to mechatronics engineering. And now you have found your passion in marketing. And when you say you were older in your batch, we also know that even Andrew thought you were 47 years old, wise man. So could you tell me about your onboarding story with RepStack, and you were the first one taking job in your batch. So how that happened?
So when I joined RepStack and I joined as a digital marketing associate, I remember those words from one of my older sisters. She said she was very adamant that I don't do engineering. She was adamant that I do something like, I was very good at math. So she wanted me to pursue either mathematics or English literature, or she wanted me to do marketing. And I was like, also growing up, we were like taught that it's either engineering or it's medical, which is wrong. Obviously, that mindset was not correct, but it was like that. And then when I actually joined RepStack, I was actually living with my sister at that time, the same sister. And she was like, didn't I tell you that you were supposed to be a marketeer? I was like, yeah, you did tell me. So I joined, had a bunch of interviews, joined RepStack, joined their training academy for a month. And I've always been very talkative. I don't shy away from having a conversation and all. And it was like, obviously we couldn't meet in person. Remote culture had kicked in. And so that was the only way like to make a mark, to stand out. I've never been the one to like do something by the books. So even when we joined RepStack and we were in the training academy, everyone, like, I'm not playing down on someone and the work that they've done, but I'm just like telling it from my perspective. So everyone would come up with the same templates of their presentations and their resumes and whatnot. And I created a very animated, colorful and thematic presentation. And I think that's when one of our directors at that time, it caught her eye, and I got to become a good friends with her as well. I used to joke a lot with her as well. We used to talk a lot. And I think at that time, she, as a punishment, not a punishment, but she joked and she said that as a punishment, I'm having you give an interview with Andrew because you like talking so much. Let's see how you talk in front of Andrew. And I was like, bring it on. So that's where I got to be interviewed by Andrew. Interview with Andrew was really good. Again, I did not hold back even in that interview. We all know how Andrew is, guys.
It's a tough nut to crack, I know.
He's the sort of person who's very hard to convince, who's very hard to beat when it comes to conversation and all. Definitely. He's 95% of the time, he's always right about everything. I got to give it to him. And he has years of experience. And everyone told me he's a bit strict and difficult and all. But I don't let the experiences of others dictate what I have to do and what I don't have to do. And when I went into that interview with Andrew, that's when he asked me a couple of questions. I presented my presentation as is the norm with any interview that we give here at RepStack. And once we were done, he asked me, do you have any questions for me? And I actually had a list prepared of all of the questions. I started asking those questions and he was like, I feel like I'm the one being interviewed for a job and you're the one who's giving out the job.
Oh, God.
And then he's like, are you really sure that you want to be a part of Pipeline Pro and not run your own business or something? Because it looks like it's your mindset. And I'm like, yeah, I would definitely love to. But of course, to reach there, I have to learn as well. And what better place to learn than being a part of your team? And I think that's when he was like, yeah, I need this guy on my team. And he brought me on as a video trainer initially. But within the first month, I think I took things up a notch and got promoted.
Yeah, and the rest is history. And we all admire that. And the sort of title we have given to Ahmer is that when he comes into the Zoom room, we start chanting, Andrew is here. So this is something that we cannot connect directly with Andrew, but the things we're learning from Ahmer reflects that what a professional Andrew is. So Ahmer, Pipeline Pro is arguably one of the biggest white label based out of GoHighLevel platform, if I'm not wrong.
Yep.
And you guys have around like 30,000 users on it and over 7,000 accounts.
Yeah.
Working in a SaaS-based agency that's performing so well in the US market. So what's your experience on that?
The experience has been absolutely amazing. When I joined RepStack, I had no idea what even a CRM is. Obviously, different background, different work experience. So I didn't know. When I joined RepStack, got to know about CRMs, in particular high level. That is what we focus on here at RepStack. The experience has been great. As you said, Pipeline Pro is one of the biggest, I think, top 2-3 enterprise clients of high level and huge. We have a huge database of customers and around between 6,000 to 8,000 accounts we have. I don't remember the last time I audited it was 8,000. It would be somewhere between 6,000 to 8,000 now. And tens of thousands of users in a dozen different countries. So the experience has been absolutely great.
What I saw on LinkedIn, Ahmer, that you guys are recently launching an AI-based system that's going to give us good quality leads. And you guys claim that it's going to replace the traditional ads. I need to know because you're coming with an experience here and people want to know because AI is the buzzword and we cannot just randomly use it. Being in this profession, we have to be very specific of what we are talking about. When you claim that AI is going to produce good quality leads and it's going to replace platforms like even Google ads or Meta ads. So could you please explain with data and facts, how is that tool performing actually?
Definitely. But I think there's one thing that we have to know, and that is paid advertisement can never be taken out of the game. When you're doing paid advertisement, Facebook ads or the Meta ads and the Google ads and all, obviously you're getting like leads or prospects in return. That is not going to go away. So we cannot replace that, or we cannot even replicate that results, not 100%. In some of the cases, maybe, but not 100%. So that is going to be there. That is going to stay. There are other ways to like get leads and all as well. And one of the ways to get leads is through third-party vendors and platforms like Zoom Info and whatnot. And we've introduced a platform like that as well that leverages the power of AI. It's built on Pipeline Protect, and that leverages the power of AI to generate leads for you from across the internet. And the information that you can put into it can be very granular. For example, I want to look for male athletes above 40 who are retired and have an ACL injury. And I put this as a description in my search bar, and it's going to scour the internet. It's going to check everywhere on the internet, and it's going to come back with leads. Obviously, it's not going to be 100%, and the algorithm keeps on learning, but still, it's been doing pretty well. It's primarily more focused on B2B, but it can also be used for B2C as well. And of course, AI is the name of the game these days, and every single tool that you see, AI is in some way a part of it, and it's also a part of now the lead gen AI sales system that we have here at Pipeline Pro.
That's great to know, Ahmer. The two top challenges I would say that we as marketers would face while implementing such systems for our clients would be. The first thing, of course, we're having inflation. And we were talking about this before as well, that even the small to medium-sized businesses are not ready or hesitant to spend on it. So the first thing is, of course, how would we convince people that AI can profit them in the longer term, whether the initial cost could be a bit higher than what they're expecting from whatever they were doing traditionally before digitization. So first challenge is, of course, the price of these AI models. And the second is, of course, the competition. Even when AI came in, that was the first in the market. And then we have Google Gemini or Microsoft Copilot. So how do you cope up with this as a marketer as an enterprise level business? How do you think you would compete with the competition in the market, and how would you convince clients for the amount to spend?
You know what they say, if you can't beat them, join them. We're not competing with giants like OpenAI and all, but OpenAI on its own, or ChatGPT and AI models like these on their own, yeah, they're going to give you a great amount of information and all, but what are you going to do with that information? You need a system to process that information and do something. Absolutely. So this is where it comes down to the fact that we have made sure that we have direct integrations with platforms like OpenAI and other AI models. We leverage these technologies in our systems to help, let's say, generate leads, or let's say help create a voice AI where now you don't even need an outbound phone caller or an inbound person to take inbound calls. It's all done by a voice AI. I could use an AI-based system. I won't even be sitting here, and my AI model could be sitting here taking this interview. That's how far along AI has gone. And obviously there's still a lot of room. But with that being said, when you talk about like pricing and all, obviously these are tough times, and even the small to medium industry across the US is feeling the effect of it. We as a company have seen that, have felt that as well. But at the end of the day, there's one thing that every person in a business needs, and that is leads. There is no person who would say, you know what, I'm fine, I don't need any more leads. We at RepStack, we need leads. Everyone needs leads. So that is why we've introduced this system that is lead generation system. AI is just an extra benefit that is being introduced with that lead gen system, and it's helping driving better results and all. So AI it's an added benefit, but the tool that we have is the lead generation tool. And of course, it helps you drive leads. And obviously, we've had to keep the price competitive as opposed to some of the other lead generation platforms out there or third-party vendors. They're extremely expensive. And another benefit is that since it's built on top of a CRM, so you don't have to worry about, okay, where now I have a lead list of 10,000 people. Where do I upload this lead list? What do I do with it? How do I communicate with them? Okay, I have one platform for email marketing. I have one platform for SMS marketing. I have one platform for cold calling. It would become a huge hassle. With Pipeline Pro, it's an all-in-one sales and marketing platform. All you have to do, you don't even have to upload lists. Since it's built on the same technology, with one click of a button, they go in the pipelines and the contact managers, and boom, you start calling them, you start emailing them, you start SMSing them.
Amazing. So guys who are listening to him, you guys are getting an idea of, he started working on videos. He started as a marketer, and now you could sense the salesperson in him and business admin person in him. With this, I'm feeling extremely proud to be here, honestly. But with this comes a question that's being asked by many of the people. Today, if you go to LinkedIn, if you go to Indeed or any job search portals, the most amount of jobs are in the digital marketing field, right? Everybody is posting some sort of a job, either it's a content writer or the content marketer, things like that. So how would you suggest people to stay away from the quacks? Because I have been in that situation where my friends who are the mothers in the housewife, and we do have mothers in RepStack as well, but the amount of grooming is extremely different. My friend actually started as a sales agent, and the company was teaching her that you are the business owner and you have got the flexibility of time to work in your hours and earn as much as you can. So it's sort of a business you are doing. So you are the business owner. And she got to Instagram and she started becoming an influencer, started influencing people of how she's managing her time being a business owner. And then I said, this is what we call a commission-based sales. This is not the business. The quacks are disrupting the entire market, and the good marketers like you, and how would you differentiate the other people? And what do you suggest from the people who wish to be in this industry?
First, Rumsha, we have to know that digital marketing has been there since long. It's only in the last couple of years that it has gained that much importance in our part of the country, but it has always been there. And secondly, we have to understand the fact that digital marketing, you may be, but you cannot be 100% good at everything that comes within digital marketing. Digital marketing has a number of different elements to it. So for example, the other day I was watching this ad that perfectly summed up what digital marketing is. So there was this circus show that was happening, and for that they created a digital asset that was their ad. Then they published that ad. Then they put their branding and their ad and all in a magazine that was their publicity. Then they like did announcements and whatnot. So they were basically trying to tell you all of the elements. And at the end, they were like, all of this combined is digital marketing. So we have to understand that we can't just go around and say, oh, I'm a digital marketer because I know everything about digital marketing. It's very difficult. So first we have to realize that there's a lot of components to digital marketing. What I would say is that you explore all of the different components. For example, sales, or for example, marketing or ads, stuff like that. You pinpoint what fascinates you or what is something that like attracts you. Then you go to the depth of it. And there's this another saying, a cliche saying, jack of all trades, master at none. I've tweaked it a bit and I say jack of all trades, master at one. That is what a digital marketer should be. He should be master at one particular thing, and he should also be, or she should also be, jack of all trades as well. So that is very important. And I think that is where companies like RepStack and a couple other companies as well, they really excel, is that they give you inside information and in-depth knowledge into almost every single aspect. And they actually let you choose which path you want to go on. And for me, when they gave me that option, I obviously chose the marketing side of it, and in particular CRMs and automations and all. So I think that is important to identify which aspect is attracting you and which path you want to go on. So digital marketing is a very vast field. That is what I'd say about it.
Absolutely, Ahmer. This is what we want to preach to the audience, because one of my friends said that, is automation real, Rumsha? Because she is on the writing side. She is actually doing science communication, covering that content writing and SEO blogging side of this field. People are still confused of what different innovations there are in the market and what the exact direction that we should opt for. So exactly, just get an overview of the entire schema of digital marketing and then start mastering yourself in one skill, as Ahmer has done. And when he mastered himself in this field, he was called to the US by his client. That's another interesting story, guys. Let's hear this from him.
Yeah, that was amazing. So basically what happened was, Andrew being one of the biggest clients of RepStack, again, I was really excited joining him. It was not easy. The first 2 years, they were not tough. I had tougher times during my education, so I wouldn't say they were tough, but I put in a lot of hours into it. A lot of people, like, they come to my house or they look at me working, and a lot of times these days I'm like relaxed and I have a bit of time in between work and all, but they don't see the 2-3 years that I've put behind all of that, so that I'm like at a position where I can be a bit relaxed. So countless hours of training and exercises and practice. I think that is what led me to be promoted to a product specialist at Pipeline Pro, soon to be chief technology officer, by the way. That is, I think that is what has always motivated us, is to be like at the chief positions in any company that you join. So I think that is something that I'm really proud of, that I'm at the stage where I'm about to be the CTO in the next month. But yeah, during all of this time, obviously I stood out because of the extensive knowledge that I gained. And the easiest way to do that was after my work hours, I would just sit. At that time, we had a community Facebook group. I would open that Facebook group, and I went all the way back to 2020 or 2019 when Pipeline Pro first came into existence. And I would start practicing every single question that the users were asking, because they were using the platform in their own particular ways. And take, for example, a funnel, or take, for example, a simple opt-in automation, right? One person would use it in an entirely different way as opposed to the other person, obviously based on the nature of the business and whatnot. So I started replicating all of the questions that they were asking. And it took a lot of time. I wasn't like always 100%, but that is, I think, where I built the extensive knowledge of the CRM. And then in addition to that, I started playing around with other CRMs out there as well, the likes of HubSpot, Salesforce, and Keep. These were the 3 ones that I started working on immediately 1 year after I joined Pipeline Pro. And that is what enabled me to be really good at CRM, working with the CRM. And I think ultimately we launched a division called the Certified Partner Division. It's an elevated level of our affiliates division. And in that division, obviously we have a lot of certified partners. They join in, they promote Pipeline Pro and its various services and all. And we have a live in-person mastermind event as well in Miami that is held twice a year. And the first 2 years, Andrew, alongside our senior business advisor, I was the other person from the team who was invited. Unfortunately, when I applied for my visa, I got the date 1 year after. So that made me miss the first 2 events. I would have loved to be there, but that was not an issue. I eventually went for my US visa interview, cleared it. And then the following April of this year, 2024, I was invited to Miami again as a trainer to train the certified partners there. It was a 2-day event and it was an amazing experience.
Okay, we need to know the details of that amazing experience, because this person has attended a football match live there. So let me know, what was that?
Yeah, I know I've told you guys a lot about this. So I've been a football fan since I don't know for how many years, right? And the first match that I saw live on TV was between Barcelona and Madrid. I was just casually going through. I've always been a fan of almost every sport. So I love watching sports. So I was just going through the channels and I remember on one channel this match was on. And that was my first ever football match. I think it was 2010. And Barcelona handsomely beat Real Madrid 5-0. And in that match, there was a certain player that really, even at that age, like he was very young at that time and he was incredible. And that's the first time I saw Messi play. And my love for him as a footballer and because of him for the club, I don't think I've missed any match after 2010 except for any emergencies or something. I don't remember I've missed any match that Barcelona has played or Argentina has played. So I've been a huge admirer of him and a big fan. And I always wanted to watch him live as well in real life. But eventually he left Barcelona, which was a very sad moment for us Qs. He left Barcelona a couple of years back. And I always wanted to watch him play in Camp Nou. That is the home ground of Barcelona, which could not happen. And I was like, will I ever get to watch him? Because he's at the twilight of his career. I was worried he might hang up his boots soon. And I was just sitting around with my wife at that time. And I was like, just talking to her. And I just casually said, I just want to watch him play. I really want to watch him play. And the next thing I know is that he gets transferred to Inter Miami, which is a club based in Miami, US. And I was like, oh, shoot, he's gone even further. So being in Europe, I felt like I still had a chance to watch him play. But America was a long shot. And I was like, oh, I think my dream is over. And then a couple of months later, I get an invite from Andrew. Andrew is in Miami and our event is in Miami. And I was like, I think I'm dreaming. This can't be. And then eventually I got my visa. I went there and there was a 2-day event. And on the last day of the event, the match, Messi was actually, so it was not easy. So Inter Miami is in Miami. I think their stadium is in Fort Lauderdale. And we were in, I forgot the name, Coral Gables. We were in Coral Gables. So it was a 1.5 hour drive and the event had just ended and Messi was actually injured. So I was like, I've come all the way to Miami and I still won't get to watch him play. That would be such a heartbreak. But nonetheless, I got the ticket and right there and then. And I just went there to the stadium and he didn't play the first half, but he did come on for the second half and I got to see Messi play live, which was a dream come true. It was a surreal experience. Watching a match on TV is amazing by itself, but watching the same thing live with 20,000-30,000 spectators and all of them at the top of their voices screaming either his name or dancing or singing their songs or club anthems and whatnot. It was an amazing experience.
So guys, I actually asked this question to show you guys how he feels about that experience, because when Ahmer gets into the storytelling phase, it's a moment to watch, honestly. So there's another story that I want the public to know about the cultural exchange with Andrew, where you actually had a discussion on what qualifies for a legitimate food in our religion. What was that?
Yeah. So when we reached there on the very first day, obviously Andrew, amazing person. I met him in the lobby. And it was an amazing experience meeting him live as well, because for 3 years we'd been like behind Zoom and all. So it felt different, but it was really nice. He welcomed me, like he was an exceptional host and he welcomed me really well and all. And he asked me to just drop my bags in the room quickly and just change so that we can go out for dinner. And we here in Pakistan, like our dinner time is what, 8, 9? It starts from 8, 9. And for people like us who work 8 hours, it's like what, 12, 1, 2 a.m. in the morning. So I was really surprised that at 6 p.m. we're going out for dinner. So I was like, okay, that's a bit of a culture shock. But anyways, I went up, I changed. I was so tired. It was a 17-hour flight or whatever. And then I came down, me, Andrew, and our sales advisor, Drew. We went there to one of the finest restaurants that had one of the finest steaks there could be. I love steaks. I love beef. And unfortunately, I could not try any of it because none of it was halal. And he really wanted me to try their filet mignon. And I was like, Andrew, as much as I want to, I cannot. And he was like, what do you mean? Why cannot? And I had to then explain him the entire thing about the meat being halal and not halal. And then throughout that entire trip, I had to because I could barely find any halal restaurants there. So I had to eat just fish and survive on sea-based food, which was amazing as well. I'm not complaining, but yeah, I missed out on some really good steak. But yeah, that was a funny conversation telling Andrew about, or explaining to Andrew the difference between food being halal and not halal. And he was like, you're missing out on it. And I'm like, I am, but it is what it is. I can't eat that.
I really wish to see what was his expressions right then when Ahmer said, no, I'm not going to eat your dinner right here. So yeah, that was a fun conversation. So Ahmer, we know you as a professional now, we know you as a student now, a little bit about your personal, as a person in your personal life, because you're starting a new phase of your life next month. By the way, guys, he's already married. Finally, he's going to officially be a married person next month. So what do you think? Are you in a position, because being a man in another society, you have to take responsibility of your family ultimately. So what do you think? Are you stable in terms of the job? Is this job rewarding for you? Is this career rewarding for you enough to give your attention and take up your responsibilities as a family person?
I feel like I am. That's why I'm taking these decisions. But I don't look at it in this particular way. I don't worry about the unknown, if a job is stable or if a job is not stable and whatnot. You create stability yourself. Absolutely. And you do that by being the hardest worker in the room. So that is as much as I can control. I cannot control anything outside of it. Yeah, I feel ready. But also, I think that you have to have the right person alongside you on that journey who pushes you and who takes you to that next level. And I'm lucky enough that I have a person who drives me to be at my very best every single day. And I'm lucky.
Oh, I wish I could meet her soon. We are going to Ahmer's wedding next month. So let's see. We're going to meet her. We're going to meet that special lady. And Ahmer, okay, we're short on time. So I guess we have to wrap this up with just a few quick rapid fire questions, just with one-liner responses. So the first question for you would be, if you were not who you are right now, what would you have been pursuing?
Like I said, I would have been a space scientist. So I know you asked for one-liners, but I got to tell little stories and all. And I was once having this conversation with my wife, and she actually got a bit mad as well because of the answer. She asked me, like, did you really mean when you said that you would love to leave everything behind and go to space, and even if it means never coming back, you do that? And I was like, yeah, I will. I want to. Like, who wouldn't? And part of the reason is because you would be really close to your maker out there as well. It was just like a joke that I was trying to like incorporate. I was like, you can be close to your maker over here as well. But nothing seemed to work with her in that situation. But yeah, I think I would have been a space scientist. I would have loved to be one.
Cool. And my next question is, if you get a chance to be Andrew Cass for a day, how would you spend your time, money, and fame?
Geez, Andrew, that'd be really nice to be Andrew for a day. I wish I could, like, I look at some of the things that he does and I really admire some of those things. It's the same with our chiefs as well, especially the workout routine that they incorporate. No matter what, they're always working out and they're always like taking time out for themselves to take care of themselves and their body. Andrew does that. Andrew is a freak at 50. He is a genetic beast, and I wish I could be that. If I were to wake up one day as Andrew, I would just hit the gym and I would just start doing all of the exercises that I can't do right now. That I think is what I do. Nothing more.
Perfect. So the last question before we wrap up, and that's a fun one.
Okay.
So who's your favorite Siddiqui brother and why?
Who's my favorite Siddiqui brother? That's a tough one. I think they all have their own individual. I will answer that. So I will pick one. But before I pick one, I have to do some buttering as well. I think they all have their own individual qualities with us as associates. They don't just treat us as associates, they treat us as their friends as well. So I think with Azhar bhai, he really motivates you, drives you, also keeps your feet grounded, but also makes you see the bigger picture as well and drives you forward. With Yavar bhai, you can have a blast. Like, he's never talked to me about work and all that sort of stuff. The conversations with him are relatively relaxed and different. With Atar bhai, I think the common point, or the thing that I love the most, is the fact that he is a Liverpool supporter. He loves football as well, and I love football. And the first thing that we did when we landed in Miami, we didn't go to a hotel or something. We went straight to a restaurant nearby, and a football match was on, Liverpool's match was on, and we went there and we just watched that. So I think if I had to choose my pick for now, because I've spent a lot of time with him as well in the US and he took great care of me, I think I'd pick Atar bhai.
Oh, wow. So Atar has got the win here. But yeah, that's a nice pick. So Ahmer, because you signed up for this, and you're brave enough, and we admire your courage, and we want you to keep coming back, right? So here's an incentive that we are bribing you in.
Thank you so much. I always wanted that. Every time someone would get that, I'd be like, when is my bottle coming? But thank you so much, guys.
Yes, we actually arranged a special, because Ahmer is special. Ahmer is a star of RepStack, so we had to come up with a special edition episode, and this bottle was reserved for you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ahmer. I enjoyed this episode to the full extent, I would say.
I'm so glad. If this interview is not being done by one of the Siddiqui brothers, it was done by you. I messaged you as well the other day. I'm glad that I got to be interviewed by our GOAT. When we joined RepStack, normally, like, when we're kids, we're being told bedtime stories. When we join RepStack, we're like a baby in the RLA, and we are told Rumsha stories. So I'm glad that I got to be interviewed by you, and it was amazing.
Who would know we rehearsed this off camera, guys? So guys, thank you for joining, and let's see you in the other episode.
Take care, guys.